Well, I'm going to have my Montreal Expos ball cap on here as we'll talk about some Major League Baseball updates here. And it seems like after some headbutting between the league and the Players Association, that it sounds like we're going to have a 60-game season for the 2020 MLB regular season. Still, of course, assuming that it will actually happen here, because it's definitely gotten a lot trickier here with the ongoing global pandemic with COVID-19 or coronavirus here, as that's definitely been the whole issue here with sports being on pause here and trying to restart since the middle of March here. But it definitely, there's still a few questions that still need to be answered about the Major League Baseball here in terms of the schedule, and also could there still be an expanded playoffs here, and also the fact that some states have actually been seeing a rise in cases due to COVID-19, which is definitely putting some speed bumps along the way, because the plan was, or is right as of this recording, that Major League Baseball was going to start training starting on July 1st here to get ready for a shortened 60-game regular season here, that it would start around July 23rd, 24th here, and then the plan is it would end on September 27th here, and then jump right into the playoffs on September 29th here. And I think I looked it up here that if it goes to Game 7 of the World Series, that October 28th would be the last possible day here, which seemed to have been the case that with Major League Baseball, is that they wanted to try to have the World Series still awarded traditionally in late October here. And I still think the plan that the Major League Baseball has definitely is the most riskiest here when it comes to playing in. It's going to be in empty ballparks here, but it's definitely still being played at their home ballparks here, and still some questions concerning one team, Canada's team, the Toronto Blue Jays here. Where are they going to play their set home games here? Because the Toronto Blue Jays have their spring training in Dundee in Florida here, but that was one of the states that right now that's definitely been hit really hard, even more so with COVID-19 here. And then there was another proposal that the Toronto Blue Jays could potentially play at Tropicana Field, where the Tampa Bay Rays play, and they would alternate days here. However, it sounds like maybe that there is more optimism, and the Toronto Blue Jays would rather, for a couple of reasons, want to play at home in Toronto, because A, that's their home, and B, actually things are getting a little better up in Canada when it comes to managing COVID-19, including the harder hit provinces of Ontario and Quebec here, that the Toronto Blue Jays might actually get some clearance from the Canadian government to be able to play their home games in Toronto here and not have to be subjected to quarantine here. However, there were several players last week here on the Toronto Blue Jays that did test positive for COVID-19 while they were down in Florida there, where they are going to have to proceed with self-isolation procedures there. And it's definitely, I'm going to say, still messy here in my mind with Major League Baseball. At least I'm glad that the pissing matchup and the headbutting between the Players Association and the league for now is over. And I think the players kind of much begrudgingly accepted a 60-game season, because I think that they had rejected that and the league kind of forced them back here. I do sense that when the CBA expires for the Major League Baseball after 2021 here, I think there's going to be a good chance there's going to be a strike and lockout here based on how all the back and forth between the two sides and of the major league sports in North America here. I can sense a lockout and a strike here coming up depending on which side blinks first here. And I do personally think that it's time for Major League Baseball to maybe consider imposing a salary cap, because it's definitely worked a lot better in the other major leagues, but that's definitely a different story here. But getting back to what I talk about, that at least in principle there is going to be a 60-game season here. schedule is still yet to be determined. I know the other elements that is still they're going to put out here right now is that earlier this year that they weren't going to have the American League and the National League, that they were going to have 3 divisions to cut down on travel here, and you can see previous years there and all the leagues that they have here. It's going to be a universal designated hitter rule, so no matter what team it is, what division they're playing in, there'll be a designated hitter as opposed to having a pitcher come to bat here. And then the one quirk, which maybe they're trying something here to maybe speed up extra innings here. That extra innings is going to start with a man on second base there, so I think that's how it works there. But I mean, what do you think about Major League Baseball? I just think, I still think they're on shaky ground here when it comes to, the Players Association and the league. Seeing eye to eye right now in terms of, I could see, potential labor unrest here coming up here when their CBA is up in 2021, and it has that similar feeling and smell to the NHL back, coming into 2004 after the 2004-3-4 season there, that we knew there was going to be a lockout and likely lost the season, which that's won't happen. And as I still always keep saying, that lockout was necessary for the NHL to get where they are right now, and in some way could this be the case with baseball here, but the one thing that I could still say with the 60-game regular season here, that games are going to mean a lot more, and races are going to be a lot tighter here, depending on what they do decide on doing with playoffs here. And I know that was also another sticking point on trying to get expanded playoffs here to obviously recoup some revenue here, and also the fact that with 60 games, I mean, more teams will be in it here, which that could bring in some excitement. Of course, if they can do it as safe as possible here, but right now I think things are a little shaky in terms of actually getting the games in, and I still think they should have stuck with the hub city model that the other major leagues have been proposing here. But at least there is somewhat of a schedule or a number of games schedule, and I think they're still working on the schedule and expanded playoffs here, which still could be to come here, and I'll plan to make a video on it when that comes here. But I just say, what do you think of everything with Major League Baseball? Are you excited that maybe we're getting closer for playing ball, and that maybe we'll see some home runs and a World Series get awarded? And do you sense that after the 2021 season here that there's definitely going to be a strike, or you're out with a lockout here, not called by the umpires? But that's just my take on where the Major League Baseball's at, and I will be making other videos talking about the other major leagues, and definitely have some other takes about recent NHL news, which I'll get to that in several videos here. So as I say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, mostly talk sports on my channel here, but I also do personal vlogs, attempt at comedy, and I also share my experience. Let's say I'm on the road as a sport event here. So if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, do follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey. You know what you need to do. I also have my other social media links down in the description below there. So as I say here, hopefully we'll be playing ball here soon in about 3 weeks. And I'll see you in the next video here, and maybe sports will all be coming back here late July with the NBA, NHL plans, and sounds like MLB is limping towards their plans here. But of course, at the end of the day, during this global pandemic, it's all about doing it as safe as possible here, and let the players have to have a say in that as well there. So I'll see you then.